Welcome to Trenchometry again. If you have spent any time in or around the trenches, you know it's all about the angles and the science of technique. We are here to discuss the most undervalued aspect of the game of football, the offensive line. Today, I'm excited to welcome a young buck to the show. Our guest is quite familiar with the life in the trenches and has just recently left those trenches. Our guest has started a new venture trying to help those future offensive linemen improve their technique and capacity to enforce their will on their opponent. He's a self-made former Division I offensive lineman. After a successful football experience in northern New Jersey, he took a self-proclaimed undersized frame to Virginia Tech, where he played for the Hokies and was able to take the field to enter Sandman, which I can only imagine that is a pumped-up experience. He would then transfer to Boise State and eventually help win the 2023 Mountain West Championship and compete in the LA Bowl and the Pinstripe Bowl. He now plans to grow his above-all O-line performance training space and sharing his knowledge and wisdom with the next generation. So today, welcome Nikolai Bujnowski to Trenchometry. Hey, Nikolai, how you doing?
Good. That was a great intro. I appreciate it.
Well, it's fun to do that and brag on people. We know that the undervalued offensive linemen seldom get bragged on. So anytime we have a chance to brag on guys that have done it, it's always fun to do that. So let's start off. You were a center most of your college career, and that's your whole okay, excellent. So you already start off with a disadvantage because you only can use one hand up front there.
Right.
Did that ever intimidate you? You ever have this big nose guard breathing on you and feel like it was unfair that you can only use one hand at a time?
Well, I mean, I would just say it's sort of all unfair. So it's kind of one of those things where, you just kind of got to have to get used to it. Yeah, but you get used to it real quick. Because if you don't and you don't adapt, it's a problem really quick. So you kind of get accustomed to it, and once you kind of find out how you like to play and how you like to use your offhand, it's it gets flowing a little bit.
So have a unique perspective as far as playing up there in the trenches. You are helping make line calls and decisions about blocking schemes and, if you will, the quarterback of the front five. And so that's hard do you find yourself having to prepare more, watch more film, study more than, let's say the left tackle who just has to be big and breathe fire all the time?
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you don't dive into film more than others, you can get caught behind pretty quick. Like there's some teams, especially when you game plan some teams, they're throwing so many things at you that you need to be prepared for every single look. And then on top of that, you kind of need to have this like roadmap in your head where that's not the only thing they can bring to you, right? They may be game planning some certain things just for your team that you also need to think about on your end as well. Like you need to kind of put yourself in the DC shoes of the other team. Like, hey, what are they going to throw at us? Because what are our strengths and how are they going to kind of stop it? And then, they're going to run their base stuff and what's their exotic stuff for that week? And what do you kind of anticipate like them to throw at you? And then you have to be ready for it. And just kind of go on the fly, because sometimes it's not what you thought's going to happen. It's not the X's and O's all the time, and you just have to be prepared.
Oh yeah. As an offensive coordinator, that's spent many hours trying to get into the brain of the defensive coordinator. Just, we ran an option attack at our program, and so the option typically makes people do things that they don't like to do or not used to doing. And so that's a valid point. You got to be prepared. You spend all week blocking an even front and you show up in pregame, they're in an odd front. You're like, oh man, that just changes all your angles, all your steps, where your eyes have to go, who your secondary block responsibilities are. All that stuff gets trashed in an instant. And here we are as a coach on the sidelines trying to, hopefully our guys remember the last odd front we blocked and what we had to do. And though we took, right. It's crazy. You mentioned that because as an offensive coordinator, you only have, it's some points. I calculated we have about 120 scout reps in a week at our high school program. And so if you're spending 120 reps, good scout reps, that's all you have to simulate and throw stuff at people. And if you don't know what you're doing and you don't show them everything, or at least a potential, your guys could be caught really in a bad situation. All right. So
it could be a problem.
As a center, first responsibility as a center, get the ball up, right?
Just get the ball
to the quarterback.
Get the ball to the quarterback. That's
now, were you guys allowed shotgun snaps or were you guys straight snaps?
Yeah.
How did you?
Shotgun majority. I mean, I think that's all of offense nowadays is 80% shotgun. Like it's one of those things that kind of sucks because as a center, you're going to take 60, 70 shotgun snaps a game and everyone expects every single one of them to be perfect.
It's got to be right here. It's going to be a strike right there, right?
Exactly. And then, but if you watch a basketball game and a guy takes 10 free throws and he makes 7, that's a good day, at the line. Centers, they got a 320-pound nose tackle on them, and if the snap's not perfect, they're like, oh my God, this center sucks. He's got to get out of the game, yada, yada. And it's just it's tough, but I think with the new kind of offenses that kind of been coming in football, I think centers overall are getting better at shotgun snaps, and it's one of those things that you got to get down early in your career, just learning how to snap, even if you don't play center.
So how
Everyone
did you
should learn
okay,
how to
so
snap.
what did you do specifically? Like what's the first thing you would tell a young center to do to try and pick up the shotgun snap aspect of what do you think is the most important thing that they focus on as they get into their learning how to do that?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, your stance. Like if you don't have a proper stance,
Mhm.
everything else kind of doesn't matter in my eyes. My whole philosophy is hinging in your stance rather than squatting into your stance. When you kind of just drop your butt down, kind of like you're doing a barbell back squat, I've noticed that anatomically speaking, the first thing you need to do to get out of that stance is to go up,
Mhm.
just kind of how you would in a squat, just a regular
Right.
squat. And also too, I just think for loading your legs, kind of keeping your quads fresh and for the drive aspect of anything you're doing is very crucial. If you squat and you load the anterior side of your legs, your quads, I feel like a lot of guys get tired quick. So your stance needs to be number one and for all positions, I believe, on the offensive line. So I think stance is number one. And I think doing shotgun snaps is number two. The one thing I don't like is decontextualizing snaps, meaning like guys just kind of sit there, they
Mhm.
snap, they don't move, and then they just like look behind to see if it was good. I'm not a huge fan of that.
There's
I
a
think
place for
that's
that,
better.
maybe starting off the first day, let's
Right,
say.
right. It's better than nothing for sure, but I think it's
Mhm.
not optimal. I think guys need to be doing it, and I think failing 1,000 times is important because
Yes.
if you've never taken a shotgun snap before, you're not gonna be good. Like, no one's good at anything the first time you do it unless you have some special skill. If I ask someone to play the piano for the first time, you just kinda sit there and be like, "What's going on?"
No shot,
Can't do
right.
it. But and same thing with the shotgun snap. Like, obviously, if you're an athlete, you could probably pick it up quicker than others, and your intrinsic dynamics can kinda, like, guide you through it in the beginning, but don't expect to be perfect and just get the reps and start moving and start understanding how to actually move and snap at the same time.
Yeah, and that would be like a drop step, pass set to the left, drop step, pass set to the right, drop step straight back like you're getting bull rush, base block to the right, base block to left, reach right. All those different steps are going to have little nuances that are going to impact where that arm swing angle is basically and how you're delivering that football. Now, when you would snap, did you hold it like a quarterback would throw, or were you like the nose, the top of the football and snap it with the football standing on its end? Which way would you, when you shotgun snap, would you snap?
I think I'm in between that. So I would actually hold the side of the ball, but I wouldn't point it straight up. I would kind of keep it at the same angle as if you
Okay.
would like throwing it. And then if there was any weather, I would take my thumb and put it on the top lace just because there was a little bit more grip.
Mhm.
That was just for me personally. I believe
So
that you need
was
to
the
find what
ball
fits you.
how did the ball tumble? Did it spiral back to the quarterback or did it tumble back to the was it sideways when as it was coming back to the quarterback?
I would say it was a loose spiral. I don't
Okay.
think it would tumble necessarily, but it definitely wasn't like a perfect spiral. And I think guys need to figure out what grip works for you. Like I think if
Mhm.
someone's just telling you like you need to do dead ball or you need to do this, I think that's problematic because guys respond to different things differently.
And the
So,
and the
but
dead
for me
ball
personally, I was a
just clarify
what?
dead ball. Dead ball is holding the top of the football, right? Kinda like a
Yes,
knuckleball
holding
back,
the
right?
direct top of the football
Mhm.
and you're almost like it's almost just more like a pendulum instead of like
Yes.
like just throwing it.
That might be better for the younger kids that can't actually hold the ball all the way. For years, I've tried to teach so many guys shotgun snap, and it's just something that I could do very easily. When I was playing, I did not have a problem shotgun snapping. I just sat down one day, picked it up, and it's just a muscle memory where you flick. It's just a flick
Mm.
of the wrist. Like you're, I don't know how else to describe it, but trying to get somebody
Right.
else to do it, oh man, it was so frustrating. I eventually went to the dead ball style, holding the top of the football to
Mhm.
just so we could get in the shotgun and snap it back to people. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things because I think sometimes the mechanics get lost, and I think sometimes coaches wanna assume that the arm is, like, not one moving piece. So what I mean by that is a lot of younger kids, what they'll do is there's usually 2 main or 3 main breaking points that guys have in their arms. It's either their shoulder, their elbow, or their wrist, and what happens is, like, as they're going to snap, one of them kinda gives, and now you're worrying about so many different moving parts.
Mhm.
And the main thing, you just want to make sure that your arm is locked. Like I'm just making sure that your elbow is twisted forward, that your shoulder's locked in, and then it's just one moving motion
Mhm.
rather than you're breaking at the shoulder and like doing like a half a shrug and throwing it back. Or if your wrist is flicking, like some guys, as you kind of get confidence with it, then guys, yeah, you can add your own flair to it and start to flick it a little bit. Like I would flick my wrist a little bit, but I think like just starting out, like making sure it's just one moving part rather than your arm breaking at so many different angles and having to worry about so many different moving parts is
Yeah, it's
crucial.
almost like you when you do it that way, the way you're describing, I think that's a really smart way to do it because you end up you're only going to miss low to high. You're only going to miss on one plane. Whereas if you got two
Right.
different fulcrums in there, you're missing left, right, up, down. You have a whole quadrant you could miss on as opposed to just being on the vertical axis there. That's a
100%.
that's a really good point. All right, so we're going to lock the arm in on that shotgun snap. We're going to figure out the grip that's best for us. What about our feet? What do our feet look like? How are we balanced? Are we staggered? How did you have your feet in your stance?
Yeah, so toes even,
Hmm.
but with my feet, I always wanted to have a slight angle in my toes. So I like
Okay.
if your toes as a center are straight up the field, the problem is your hips now are in internal rotation. And
Hmm.
for you to get out of that to move laterally, like it's a little bit of wasted motion. I kind of just want to access all angles whenever I want and whenever I feel in my stance. So having that slight toe angle is so crucial. And for me personally, I like feet just outside shoulders. I know some guys are more narrow. Some guys like Jason Kelsey just is so wide in his stance. It was insane, but that's what works for him. So,
Hmm.
but as a general rule of thumb, I would say feet just outside shoulders. And yeah, with the toe, slight toe angle,
And so if you're talking like when you have those toes that aren't, you said the hips, what was the word the phrase you used right there when your hips are
internal rotation.
internal rotation? Yeah. So that's going to force the body up also. That's going to
Yeah, it
cause you to kind of
for
come up out
sure.
of your stance like the squat, like you were talking about earlier, which is
Yeah.
death to the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Anytime you're
Yeah.
going up, you're bad. Hopefully you don't figure that out on your own too often because that could be
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got level toes and we got a slight, they're just slightly, how would you say, just slightly off straight
Yeah.
down the field. They're
Angled outwards.
just slightly, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then that allows you to take those steps, whatever you need to do, and get that ball off.
Exactly.
Okay. So as you progress into your, let's say we're going to get into a pass set now. How are you got a real tight shade on one of your shoulders. Let's say you're on, it's a right shoulder shade and you're pass setting that way. Which hand are you, right-handed or left-handed snapping?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. So where's your left hand when you get down in your stance? When you hinge into your stance. So you're not doing that squat. You don't want to have to push
Right.
your hips aren't going to push your center of gravity up. It's not going to open your chest up to the for target for that defender. Where's your offhand? Is it down on the ground? Is it up on your thigh board? Where are you placing that thing?
Thigh board for sure.
Okay.
And again, I think everything in offensive line play, most of it, there's some general rules that you want to follow, but something like an offense, if it's comfortable for you and you're effective with it, it works for you.
Hmm.
But I would say, yeah, as a general rule, just on your thigh board and just yeah, ready to strike.
Did you ever experiment with your offhand down by the ground to get it closer to that defender when he's up on you?
Not really. It just felt weird to me.
Okay.
Because I'm not someone that has like super long arms at all. So like it when I was trying to like kind of mush my upper body together to kind of get it low, it just felt a little weird for me
Okay.
personally. But I was mostly just on the thigh boards.
So you're getting this movement. You're pulling with the right hand, and that left hand's coming out immediately on
Yeah.
your snap motion there.
Yes.
'Cause you have to at that point, right? Because
Yeah,
if
you need
it's
to.
if it's still back, you're fighting. You're like a dummy. You're a blocking dummy out there, just fighting with your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So offhand. So shade on your right side. Your pass
Mhm.
set, and you got a 5-step drop, not a 3-step. You got a little bit of space to play with there. You can give a little bit of ground, not too much. Where's the right foot's moving first? I'm assuming you're trying to get over
Yes.
there, and you're doing a heel to crotch, cut them, bisect them down the middle. Is that what you're aiming for as a center on your
Yeah.
pass set?
So the first thing I'm aiming for is actually getting space from the line of scrimmage. I think people forget that the D lineman, you're not going to stop him from move. You're not going to stop him from taking a step upfield. Like it's impossible. There's no magic potion you can give him to be like, hey, dude, give me a second real quick while I take a step.
That's
They're
right.
coming at you a million miles an hour. You need to pull away from the line of scrimmage. If you
Okay.
don't pull away, you're not gonna grant yourself any space. And even when you do think about pulling away, everything's happening so fast since he's on you that it's practically still a jump set. You're just now doing it from a further distance away from the line of
Mhm.
scrimmage. And adding on top of that, if you're the tip of the spear and everyone else is behind you, you want to be able to join your buddies just for any line
Yeah.
stunts. Sometimes, like if you watch film, if you're going against a guy like Dexter Lawrence, you don't want to give him a head of steam. Yeah, there's some times where you want to snap and just get on him right now, just so he can't get going. But as a general rule, you just want to pull away from the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
get knee to crotch right now, and make sure you give yourself some time to see what's going on. A lot of young centers, all they'll do is just snap, go sideways, and then the first thing the guy does is just go inside. They beat him inside. They're like, I can't beat him.
Shoulders are
Just pull
turned, it's
yourself
open
away.
that door up and it's gone.
Yeah, it's over with. The second I pull away, I just want to pull away, and all I do is essentially just become a right guard.
That's a good point. When you mentioned you're the tip of the spear, getting back on level with everybody, so you're not. Yeah, you're a prime pick position right there if you're out in front of everybody, and then you're creating
100%.
a gap. That's the fastest way to get there, is running right down Main Street to the quarterback's launch point.
100%.
Okay, so you're trying to get some space. You're trying to get back on level. It's probably going to be more like a soft kick set, maybe as far as not like a right tackle kick set into like a wide 5, but almost are you not really at a 45, but you're kind of back somewhere between 45 and 90 off at that angle right there to try to create that space.
Yeah, it's like a 70-degree angle.
Yeah,
it's like
it's weird. It's almost weird because you don't really you got to figure that out on your own as a center, because you don't really. Nobody ever teaches that. It's always like kick set at 45 or flat step out there and get right on them. But this one's kind of a weird angle to get back there as a center.
Yeah, and both of those, what you just mentioned, have merit. Like, to say that those will never work as a center is crazy. Would be crazy for me to say. But yeah, you need to finding that pull angle is so crucial for you, because like, again, you don't want to go too flat, because if you go too flat and you overset, he's going to go inside right now. Yeah. If you go 45, again, you think that you're going exactly 45, doesn't happen inside. What I tell my guys is just pull your feet and think about you getting on a tightrope. And what happens is I overcorrect the coaching point. Like, I say something dramatic, like get on a tightrope. And when they think about getting their feet like this, it always ends up perfectly like this. Yeah. That's what I've found is effective, because guys, I mean, they're not going to be able to pull and their feet are literally lined up behind one another. They'll just literally pull, and then they'll be in a perfect position. And that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
And then at that point, you're getting that left hand on, and then you're bringing that back, that off hand. You're trying to engage as soon as possible with your snap hand, or how's that factoring in the fight?
Yeah, it's tough. So if we're going off a guy that's shaded on my snap hand, the worst thing for me personally that I didn't like was I didn't want my inside hand to cross my midline, because once it crossed, it gave him that ability to go inside. So that's also why I wanted to get space too, is just so I can just reset back to being a guard. And then now I have my hands ready to play. If you were to spike inside 100%, I'm snapping, getting my hand on now. But the problem is, if I were to snap, pull, and then cross my nose, it could be a big issue. So hopefully I'm pulling enough where I have time to bring my right hand back up. And if I don't, then I'm trying to grab something with my offhand if possible, depending on how quick the rush is and who it is in front of me, etc.
Yeah. And then you are a two-hand engage guy. You want to get that other hand in and fight two-handed?
Yeah, but I'm an independent hand puncher, but yeah, I'm always trying to control with two.
Okay, so you might get a left hand tap in there first before you get your snap hand back involved in everything.
Yeah. Or vice versa. Like if someone's slow off the line, maybe he gets a bad jump and I get a nice pull away from the line of scrimmage. It might be right left. Sometimes if he's super fast, he timed it well. Yeah, maybe it's left right to kind of slow him down. Overall, I'm trying to go independent, but ending up with two, depending on how it gets there.
Right. How are you teaching independent punches? That's a hard thing to pick up, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I tell my athletes, like, I want you to hear the da-da instead of like just one little hit. I want him to start to hear the sounds in the training room of what it kind of feels like. And I tell him, like, try to go independent hands here. I think a two-hand punch has a lot of merit if you set it up properly. I think if that's your general strike, I think you could end up having a lot of problems. It's a good change-up punch for sure. Like if some guys, maybe you're dominating the whole game and he's kind of just exposing his chest, kind of waiting for you to throw his hands or your hands, and you just land on him right now, it's a great time to use it. But guys, what happens is they'll use it as their first punch. One hand gets swiped. Now you have no means of recovery. They get beat, and now they're in the driver's seat. And then now you gotta play catch up.
Now you're in combatives, doing the wheeling your hand around and brushing things off and protecting. You're saying the pull off the line. That means, in your terminology, getting back off the line, right? And I would say setting back would be something I might say. So if you're getting a good setback or a good pullback off the line, those combative things, those things they almost end up being independent hand punches as you start to fend off a grab for a long arm move, or somebody's trying to swim you and they're grabbing to pull that outside arm, and you got to fin that off the top of the shoulder, or somebody's trying to rip and you're trying to windmill that hand back and find that outside hip and push them and flatten them out across the offensive line there. Those are things that you got to spend a lot of time doing, those individual hand combatives, in order to kind of get that feel, because it's got to be muscle memory. You can't sit there and think about, he's ripping, I probably should keep my hand on his armpit and take this other hand and hit that backside hip. Those are just hours in the sun, just sweating and leaning on each other and feeling the pressure points and understanding how the balance is. And I've said this for years, the best pass blockers don't even need punches. The guys I've seen that were the best pass blockers could do it without hands. They just get that body out there and they could move the hip and push the inside hip when they're trying to spike down inside, and they're pushing the outside hip when they're trying to run around. And then the hands are nice. I mean, if you can block with your lower body, then the hands are just icing on the cake. You don't, like, they're nice, but if you can do that lower body and you have the balance and you can feel it in your feet, you got the weight on the inside balls of your feet, and you can feel the pressure, and you got a little pigeon toed there, so you're not getting I call it the centers of gravity, right? When you get your centers where you're down by your nether region, if that gets outside your framework, you're in bad shape right there.
For sure. Yeah, always feet before hands, right? Like, getting to your spot is so much more important than where your hands are landing. I think a lot of times guys like they get so caught up in like hands that they kind of like paralyze themselves, and they forget that you need to get to your spot before anything else.
Totally.
And just letting your hands kind of fly is important, and then kind of recalibrating from there and seeing how you like to throw your hands, where you like to throw your hands, like the mental cues that kind of work for you. But just being confident with your punches is super important, but getting to your spot is the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately getting there. When you're punching individual hands, do you use it? Is it like a boxer drill where you have the independent pads to hit, or are you doing independent hands on a single pad, like one of the defensive lineman style pads, where you're just saying, okay, right hand here, left hand here, right left, or left right? Are you giving them like combos like a boxer would use, type of thing?
Yeah, so I do it all. I would say, like, I use the fit shield one, like the regular D-line one. I'll tell guys, like, okay, outside, inside. That's some of my coaching cues would just be, okay, outside hand, inside hand. And then I also just sometimes I have a boxer's mitt as well that I'll put on my chest just so it doesn't hurt me, and I'll have them stick with the outside hand, and then from there I'll actually just do a live rep with them and maybe slant inside, go outside, and it just kind of teaches them, okay, like, I need you to refit with whatever hand I'm going to, right? And then from there you kind of learn the independent hand punch. But yeah, everything you've mentioned, I've probably done a iteration of.
I used to call that a joystick. When you feel that guy moving with that hand, as it gets to that center line, you got to disengage, because at this point, if you go past center line, that shoulder's turning, you're not square anymore, and you're out of position. So that joystick, if that joystick ever gets past center, you got to let go and disengage. And then whatever's wrong with the other side, if it's not involved, you better figure out what's going on and get it in there, because now you've crossed that. That's the line of death right there. As soon as you cross that, you're dead, because they're going to spin back on you, or spin back and put a elbow spike in your backside shoulder, and next thing you know, you go running out of the way, and your poor quarterback can't see straight for 3 days, and that's not good ever.
Yeah, never good.
Okay, so what's your favorite drill as a center? What was your favorite drill? What's your favorite drill to put your guys through to develop skill sets?
It's it's funny, because for me personally, I am not a big drill guy. Like, when I hear the word drill, I think of, like, you need to do something perfectly over and over again. And I feel like a lot of drills are super decontextualized and just decoupled from reality, that actually guys can get into bad habits. Like, just a prime example, like, I can't stand when I see they'll have a post set drill that's in like the agility ladders. Like, I think your people are just taking the reason why you're post setting in the first place. Like, you don't post set because there's plastic squares on the ground. Like, you're post setting because someone's going inside. So just take a buddy of yours, do a live rep, and then give them the option to go inside to actually learn the post set.
Yeah, there's other physics involved on the other side.
Yeah, like, there's a reason why you're post setting. If there was no one lined up across from you, we would all just be looking like weirdos doing these post sets. Like, there would be no reason to do it. So I hate to get out of that, like the perception of why you're actually doing it. But I would just say, in general, just figure out ways as a center figure out like your power angles. Like where are you most powerful in terms of like where you want, like how your feet are in the ground,
Mhm.
and learning to push from these angles and these different angles. Like if you're doing a base block to the right, like get into your stance, get a ball, have someone catch your snap, and learn to push off that opposite foot to get on your path. If you're setting someone on your right, just have someone catch your snap and pull away from the line of scrimmage. Like
Yeah.
actually doing the things is you can't beat it at all. And then if you really want to take it a step up, like have the guy across from you, give him every single option so you don't know what's coming. That's another thing
Mhm.
as well that I don't like about drills is like, even I see it in the NFL, like coaches they'll have the 2 left tackles up. They'll have 2 guys on defense. The drill is, "Hey guys, you're gonna take one step up the field and do a spin move inside." You just told the guy what's happening.
Yeah.
There's nothing, you don't get anything out of that. Like he knows what's gonna happen. That's like me handing you a test and then afterwards I go, "Oh, here's the answer key." It's not
Yeah.
a test
Y
anymore.
you
You're just giving me the answer. So I try
that
to get
goes
away
back
from that, but
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say that goes back to what you were saying earlier with the snapping. Like, there's a time for that. There's a time for learning what it feels like to have somebody spin on you. Day one, like the first time it happens, okay, we're gonna spin inside, so you know what it feels like.
Yep.
Now we're gonna spin outside, so you know what it feels like. Now you don't know what he's going to do. He's gonna spin one way or the other, maybe not spin. Figure it out. Like you got to be able to the pressure and the balance. Which, I think that's what's so unique about the offensive line position. I think that's what's so difficult for some kids. I've had some kids come through our football program. They are monsters in the weight room. They got 1,100, they can bench squat clean at 15, 16 years old. They got 1,100-pound total. They're just monsters in the weight room. You get out on the football field and they can't move that kid from this spot to that 6 inches. He can't make him go 6 inches because he
Yep.
doesn't understand how the pressure moves from up from the ground through your feet, through your legs, through your core, out your arm, and that you apply it on the other side to the guy that's across from you. And those are all things that you have to figure out live fire. When I say drills, my drills in my mind always stack towards what they're going to do in the game on Friday night. There's always, I call it turbo sled. I think for high school guys, running their feet on run blocks is a big thing that we have to develop. It's not natural. The only way I think you can do that is to hit a sled and make your feet push and drive behind it and catch up to your body as you're moving something. And so we would do that. Well, we started running a little bit of hurry up offense, and I was like, my guys we're not getting used to this hurry up offense stuff. So I would literally hit turbo sleds and they would have to block the sled, sprint 5 yards, turn around, run back, get in their stance and hit the sled again. And we would go through a progression on the sled, like we were going through a series where they're reaching or basing or whatever they're doing. And we would do, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 reps in a row of that just to simulate no huddle. Like that's how I went about simulating no huddle with my offensive line, was driving the sled at 8, 10 reps at a time, like a series. And boy,
Yeah.
they hated that. But man, I tell you what, talk about conditioning and being ready for 2-minute drill, 2-minute offense or whatever, no huddle. We were
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
doubt.
It's one of those things like when I say stuff like that, like don't decouple it from what you're actually going to do in the game, but something is better than nothing. So if you're
Mhm.
deciding between like not going to a field and like, doing through things through a cone, like the cone drills and stuff like that are going to be way better than obviously you doing nothing. But I think for me, like optimally, like I just want to when someone comes to me with a problem, they're like, "Hey coach, I can't stop a bull rush." I go, "Okay, let's go. Like, I'm gonna put my hands on you. And you're gonna put your hands on me, and
Yeah,
it'll be on my go. You'll feel me push you, and we're not gonna stop until you find a position where you feel comfortable."
that's right.
And then
And that's the
there's other
balance. Yeah.
people that are, yeah, but there's other like I've done it in college as well. It's like the guys are gonna hold the med ball, like you're gonna run into me, and then I'm gonna stop, like I'm gonna do the bull hop, get my feet underneath myself, and that's kind of the area where I thought I could fit into the coaching world because I was like, everyone does the same thing, but
Mhm.
not everyone gets the same result. And I always just wanted to dive into the science of why that is. And I'm coming out with a book soon talking about skill acquisition and offensive line
Mhm.
play and like the science behind like skill acquisition and motor learning, which I'm super excited about. So I'll go more in depth with that, like some of the drills that we do in terms of in our training room. But I would say to answer the original question, I would just say for centers, some drills. Some you can resist the pull away or the setback from the line of scrimmage. Like you can have a resistance band on your ankle, maybe attach it to a fence, and that way when you pull, you have to fight through resistance to get
Mhm.
that leg back. You can kind of feel yourself working through that pressure. I would also say I love med ball kick steps, like taking your back knee and putting it on the med ball. That way you enforce the front leg to do all the work and pushing
Mm-hmm.
yourself away and out of there. I think that's a fantastic one. And I also like a drill that I call set the tech, where you just get someone in front of you. You like if you're a right guard or a center and you have a shade or a 3 technique, like on your movement, you set, make sure you get knee to crotch. And then once you land, have the defender walk forward to see if you landed knee to crotch or knee to
Right.
midline. So those 3 I would say are my favorite. But I would recommend people exploring like the actual doing of what you're trying to get better at.
Which is hard. Again, quarterback can go out and throw a ball into a dumpster in the corner of the end zone,
Yeah.
or one of those, ball catching screens. I'm shooting at the upper left corner or whatever, and wide receiver can go to the jugs machine and catch 100 balls. If you want to do good offensive line stuff, you got to find some other dude to come lean on you and to get the most out of it. It's hard. Yeah, it's not easy. Exactly. You summed it up right there. It's just not easy.
And even what you said with the quarterback, like even that for me, like if I was a quarterback coach, I'm like the reason why a quarterback would be throwing a deep ball is not to put something in it. Like you're taking his actual thinking part. Okay, is he running faster than the corner? Does he have long arms? Can he jump high? Is it snowing out? Is the ball wet? Like you're taking all these factors and saying, these don't matter. Just drop it into a dumpster.
Yeah. At that point, it's like accuracy. Can you be accurate? Right.
Right.
You got, in order to be accurate, and to calculate all that stuff you're talking about, that's a calculus problem. Right now, the algebra is, can you hit what you want to hit? Can you throw it to the spot that you want to hit it at? And you can improve on those accuracies. It's like snapping. You could go out and get a screen and just snap it into the screen. All right, I'm shooting for the middle box on this screen every time. And it's, if the ball's in the screen after you snap it, you could snap it, take your steps, and turn around and go retrieve it. If the ball's in the middle pocket on the screen, you're in good shape. You did what you're supposed to. If it didn't, then you missed it. It might have been close, but it wasn't perfect because it didn't go in the box.
Right. It's
okay.
tough.
Favorite scheme. What was your favorite scheme to run when the play came into the huddle, or you got the signal from the sideline? What was your favorite scheme as a center?
Inside zone for sure is
Oh, okay. You wanted to work with your wingman,
like
one way or the other?
It gave me enough to like think about in terms of like where the Mike ID was. Do we need to push the Mike ID? Am I going to be able to work with the backside guard? Am I worried about the 3 technique front side slanting? Like there was a lot to think about. And then at the same time, it's just physical. Like I love running the ball. Like let's just go. Like let's hit and let's figure it out. It's a complete chess match, because I feel like too at the center position, like pass plays are like, it's relative, but I feel like it's pretty easy. Like if you get an even front, 70% of the time you're going to be helping a guard. But like, yes, the center position's very, very, very difficult. But I think there's some times you get hidden. I mean, I feel like most O linemen know that. But in the run game, it was like, okay, sometimes you'll have a base block. You got a big guy breathing down your neck. Sometimes you got to worry about this backside guy slanting across your face. Maybe the front side guy's slanting. You got to ID the mic. Maybe they're bringing someone down. You got to adjust the mic point. So it gave me enough to like think about. And on top of that, it was physical as well.
Okay. Did you ever get to pull? Did they ever put schemes in where you're pulling? How did that impact? I was gonna say, how's that impact you as far as when I played center, they didn't let me pull. So I never had to snap the ball and go, but I always found that as a intriguing scheme to use for a center and with a center.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. It's not easy. Like that in my career, we've done it in terms of 2 schemes. So we would have counter play action, where if there's like an even front, we're running counter left to the play action side is the left, or the ball would be on the left. If I have a 3 technique on the back side, like that would be my turn to pull, just so I don't have to I don't have to back block a 3. So I'd have to pull, go get the D end, and then pin and pull. So in 2022, our O-line coach Joe Rudolph implemented pin pull. So that was a big thing for us as well. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's fun at the same time.
So you're pin pulling, you're getting out, running like a toss type of thing, or you're running a counter, you're turning up, there's a kick out in front of you and you're turning up and leading up through the hole schemes, those type of things?
For sure. Like, so maybe the tight end down block tackle went out, guard down block center went out.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and then sometimes like if your Mike ID point was pretty like super backside, sometimes you can fit yourself up into the gap over. But if he was plus, sometimes you have to get around it all and get outside of the tight ends. It really just depended on where you needed to go. But yeah, most of the time it's more of like a toss play, getting outside.
What were your pull steps? Was it a skip pull for you, or were you doing like a trap pull?
It's more of like it's in between both. It was more just like an open pull, kind of just
Okay.
snapping, not really taking a 90-degree angle like a trap pull,
Mhm.
and not swinging that backside leg out like a skip pull. But it was more
Mhm.
like, okay, let's just turn and let's go. It's time to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
But which is tough because you're kind of, like you said earlier, being the tip of the spear there, you're kind of out in front of everything. So you kind of got to get a little bit of depth
Yeah.
to get behind that down block from your
Oh yeah,
guard.
for sure. And it was hard because you have to assume he's gonna stalemate him at least. Like you have to have trust in your guys. But just
Hopefully.
sometimes, yeah. But if he gets pushed back a little bit and he's run, you may run into him when you go to pull. So you definitely got to get some depth for sure, just to get out of everything, and that way you can get into the whole square.
All right. So as you look at offensive line play, what do you think? What do you think's the most underdeveloped skill that offensive linemen don't pay attention to?
That's a good question. Ooh.
Is it could it be the kick sets? Could it be the punches? Could it be backside blocks even? I kind of have a unique style of backside blocks. We would always on the backside of plays, we would cross over our outside foot would cross over our inside foot like we're stealing second base
Mhm.
rather than drop step and cross. Always felt like if you cross over on that first step, you're gaining half a man more so than if you drop step and then cross over. You haven't really gained any ground towards the interior of the line. And so that I
Yeah.
think that's I would say that would be my answer to this question, just to kind of give you an example because I, put you on the spot there with the
Yeah. No,
there's so much to
it's one
choose
of those
from.
things because yeah, there's a couple that come to mind. I would say number one, I would just say stance. I think for me, stance is definitely a skill. I think a lot, like the majority of guys have coaches teach a stance as an aesthetic, meaning like, okay, you're in a stagger. If you're a guard, your toes even with your midfoot. If you're a tackle, your toes even with the opposite heel. If you're a
Mhm.
center, your toes are even. All right, put your hand down. Like that's an aesthetic, but like there's a reason why it looks that way. And coaches don't really teach the function. It's just more of like, okay, it looks this way as long
Mhm.
as you look like the picture that I put up in the PowerPoint 30 minutes ago, you're good.
Yeah.
But like teaching loading the backside is massive. Like I don't think a lot of guys do it. Um, I would say that. I would also say hands in the pass game. Like I think a lot of guys have no like I've coached a lot of people and I always start off like trying to figure out what they know already or what they've
Mhm.
learned just so I can kind of build off of it. And a lot of guys have no idea. They're just like, you know what, I kind of want to on their chest, like and they don't even know where their eyes want to be. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at their numbers, I'm looking at their head. I'm like, I mean, guys are all over the place. So I would probably say stance is definitely number one. Hands in the pass game is potentially number two, and maybe being patient at the second level. I feel like a lot of guys they get like so amped up in their head to like run to the linebacker half the time. They don't understand like the
They
play is
curl
still
it.
developing. You have a little bit more time, and
Mhm.
I think that's more of a feel thing. I think that's more of like you need to just be in the chaos a lot more, and you kind of that's like the vet and rookie thing. Like I feel like a lot of older guys have understood like I have more time
Yeah.
than I anticipated. But I would say those three things, and I'm probably forgetting one. It's gonna haunt me.
Where do you mentioned eyes? Where do you want your eyes? Where do you want those guys looking on those pass sets?
Yeah, so for me, like, there's 2 places, and I tell them whatever you're ever, like, more comfortable with. The base of the V of the neck, so usually the team's logo is usually
Mhm.
here,
Mhm.
or on the patches. So, like, if you're a Nike team, there's a Nike patch and then, like, another logo sometimes here. One of these 3 spots is where I want their eyes at all times.
Yeah. I think eyes is another under. I always told my guys you can block two people on every play. One guy with your body and one guy with your eyes.
Yes.
And so you're that first guy, the first level guy, it's easy. You put your hand on him, you put a face on him, whatever you're doing. And you always have
Right.
the backside eyes looking for the backside linebacker. If you're on the backside of a, let's say a duo block, and your
Mhm.
outside front eye is the other guy's got his outside eye looking on the same guy, and you're reading that
Right.
thing. And if you're not looking at the right thing, you got no shot. You're never gonna get there.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good
100%.
you are, you're not gonna make there. But that patience on the
100%.
first level guys, right? I mean, I think that's a good observation for
Yeah.
that. All right,
Yeah. I think a
so
lot of guys, yeah, they're looking at the ground half the time, and
oh
it's a
yeah,
mess.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's death on the field. That's death on the field,
Yeah.
lost yardage.
Yeah.
All right, what's the
Yeah.
most other side of the coin then there? What's the most overrated skill that guys just coach into the ground that spend too much
Two-hand
time
punch.
developing? Two-hand
Two-hand
punch?
punch. I think for me personally, I think it is the most outrageous thing ever. Like, I think I just like it, I think it's like I don't know whether it's like guys coaches don't want to spend time teaching the independent hand punch and they just think it's easier to just to do the two-hand punch. Like
Mhm.
if you just if people just like looked at the other side of the field and just watched how the D-line train, like they literally have dummies that have two hands out at all times. Like
Yeah.
all they're working on is swiping hands, swiping hands. If you have to have them make or have to have like, yeah, if you have to make them focus on two different things rather than one complete thing, it'll change everything for you because you're not like, again, if I was a boxer and I can only punch like this,
Yeah.
you'd be pretty easy to beat. But the reason why boxers are deadly is because I'm going to throw a jab in your face and you don't see the uppercut coming or whatever
Yeah.
the case is. And it's the same thing for O-linemen. Like I have a jab here, but you still haven't dealt with this yet. And if I land both at different times, the rep's probably over. But if I throw both of them at the same time and they get swiped, it could be a long day for sure.
All right. So let's talk about your above all O-line performance. And are you back in New Jersey now? I should have asked you that at the beginning. Okay. So
Yes,
you're
New
offering this
Jersey.
out in New Jersey and you're looking
Yes.
to get this nationwide. How are you attracting guys? How can somebody, if they are interested in this, how can they get in touch with you?
Mainly through social media. Like for
Okay.
me, I went all in with social media, like just trying to get as much eyeballs as I can to me in the business.
Mhm.
We've done a pretty good job at that so far. So majority of the guys see me from Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all that or X. And it's just one of those things like, yeah, social media is probably the main way.
Okay.
And then it's only been live for about 8-9 months now. So we've done a pretty good job at kind of getting it out to the public eye, but social media for sure.
And you're training these guys is this mostly off-season training? Are you doing in-season training with them as well?
Both.
Okay.
I do in season, I do off season, of course, and then also in season I do mobility sessions as well. I do a lot of body tempering and mobility sessions with the guys. So
Okay.
those are my three main things.
And when you say mobility session, like agilities, that type of stuff, the position specific?
Like stretching, soft tissue work.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, just overall just getting the body feeling better for game week and just because guys get banged up. So
Yeah, recovery.
I want to make sure everyone's recovered to the best of my ability and to the best of their ability as well. If they're feeling something, I want to address it ASAP, just so they feel better for the week.
Okay. All right. So this brings us to one of my favorite parts of when I ask questions to these interviews and talks. The offensive line, the character quotient for offensive linemen has got to be off the charts. It's probably one of the most entertaining groups of people you'll ever find assembled at any one particular spot. And it's kind of East Coast to West Coast, North to South. The offensive linemen on the team are the biggest collection of characters. And as an example, I coached in the Army All-American game a few years ago, and Ben Cleveland, who was a starter for Georgia and won a national championship at Georgia and went on to the Ravens, and I think he's down with the Falcons now, if I remember correctly. He was eating breakfast, and we go out to the football field, and he's all sluggish and tired. I said, Ben, what are you doing, man? And he goes, I'm sluggish, coach. And I said, well, it's because you had a Nestle Crunch bar, ice cream bar for breakfast. He's like, Coach, I didn't have a Nestle Crunch bar for breakfast. I said, I watched you, Ben. I watched you eat it. He goes, Coach, I didn't eat a Nestle Crunch bar. I ate 5 Nestle Crunch bars for breakfast. And so you kind of get into those situations where, the character aspect is fun. So who are some of the biggest characters? And you had an opportunity to be at a couple schools there, so you might have a bigger collection of characters that you can reference. But any one or two stick out in your mind in a story or two that might let all the people know what kind of quality characters they're dealing with?
Yeah, so it's funny because when you were telling that story, like I was so fortunate to be in 2 offensive line rooms where like everyone had a great personality. Of course, there were some guys that like weren't as funny as other people, but in terms of like the total room, like most people like were hilarious, like just great human beings to be around. A couple specific people, I would say the Moore brothers, Caden and Braylon Moore. Braylon's at LSU now, and Caden, I believe, retired not too long ago. He played with me at Virginia Tech. Those 2 people. Caden was my roommate. Hilarious human beings. Zach Holmes is another one at Boise State. I don't think anyone's ever made me laugh as hard as Zach. And then Nathan Cardona from Boise State as well. Nathan and Zach together was a dangerous combination. Like I don't think you'll stop laughing if you're around them. Like we would go for like all you can eat sushi, and just the jokes that were being cracked were just, they didn't stop. And you can't even eat because you're just laughing 95% of the time. It's just,
What was their go-to
laughing.
topic? What was their go-to?
To be fair, it's probably like poking fun at one of the coaches.
Okay.
It could have been like, but in a funny way, like in a good way. Like,
right.
no, like
with love.
Yeah, with love. It wasn't anything crazy that, but I would say also too, like, being with them, like, after practice or something and just being on the video games with them and just talking to them in the headphones and stuff,
Yeah.
just saying random stuff, like, just having fun with the guys and just talking about practice, like, what we did and, like, just making fun of each other in practice, like, if you messed up at or something or whatever the case
That's
was. They were always poking fun, but, like, with love always, and yeah, they're just some funny human beings for
ruthless
sure.
too.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Ruthless and no boundaries. Nothing was out of
Yeah,
bounds.
100%.
Regardless of what it was, that was not out of bounds. So,
Yeah,
well, Nikolai, I appreciate you coming and spending some time and just you have so much wisdom there. It's fun to tap into that, and I'm
thank you.
excited for your new business venture and the book coming out. That's all. Those are all good things to learn from, and it's fun to listen to you talk about the physical aspects of it and the just how the body works mechanically and how
Mhm.
the mechanics of the body dictate how you should go about setting yourself up to block. I'm excited that it's going to be a really interesting read. I look forward to it. Thank you very much for being a guest here on Trenchometry, and I look forward to following your career and the growth of your business as we go forward from here.
Thank you so much. No, I appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, have a good afternoon, and thanks again.
Thank you.